Most schools lucky enough to have an outdoor space or playing fields use them for social gathering and sports, and that's great. However, here at the Totteridge Academy in London, they use some of their site for something completely different. In partnership with the local charity Grow, who work with schools and volunteers, they're taking their students from the classroom to the farm on 5 acres of land that's given over to growing fruit and veg.
Today we're going to harvest some cabbages which are going to go into the school canteen and into our weekly box scheme. So I'm going to show you how to do it first of all.
Farm manager Sarah Allen Jones works with this and other schools to bring teaching to the outdoors.
As crianças do colégio estão aprendendo
food tech lessons on the farm where they'll come and harvest veg and learn about seasonality, and then the next week they'll cook it.
plantar,
We
colher.
have science lessons out here. We've had lessons on decay where we look at the compost heap and turning the compost heap to see different levels. And we also have creative writing out here as well. And the idea is that over the years we'll have every subject coming out to the farm and that it can be a real learning hub for the school.
Sowing the seeds of ideas, sowing cabbages, but also you've got plans for planting trees.
Brasil.
Yes. Yeah, and that's
Mundo, vão
something
plantar.
that we
Esse
it's
pessoal
really
é para
important to
entender.
people to show that they can have an impact on the world, and they can plant something now and they can come back in 10 years time and it'll still be there.
As they use their produce for school meals, it makes sense for them to plant fruit trees to add to the menu. Oh, we've got some good ones here. This one
E
is a
usa
pear
de fruta
called conference malls. It's like a regular conference pear. Super reliable, self-fertile.
Eles plantam fruta para poder colocar a fruta no menu da escola para as crianças. Olha que legal. Pode ser feito com vegetal também.
Pollinators are great for lessons around pollination and insectivorous life. And then over here, what's this? A miracot. Now, a miracot is an unlikely marriage between a mirabelle plum, or a hedgerow plum, and an apricot. It's as tough as the hedgerow plants that you see flowering in early spring, but also has the lovely flavour of an apricot. I mean, the fruits are like plums. What they get from the apricot is this freestone ability, which means that when you open them up, the stone inside doesn't stick to the flesh, which is always nice. And there's a hazel. Now, I'd always recommend having a hazel tree in the school garden. This is Tonda Gentile trilobata. And what makes this so good is it's an Italian variety, and it's the one they use for making those lovely chocolate spreads. But like all hazels, it does need a partner to be pollinated, so a regular hedgerow type with this is just perfect. But even if you don't get nuts or squirrels before you get them, hazel's so brilliant. It's such a useful plant because all the side shoots and suckers that come off this, it makes such useful building materials for making wigwams, arches, and of course pea sticks to hold up the cut flowers. The students are raring to go, so I'm going to give them a lesson in tree planting. But what I want you to tell me is how deep you think that needs to be planted. How deep do we need the hole?
I think where is that?
So we've got the top of the compost there, mark it on the spade. That is how deep your hole needs to be. Yeah, I'll just make this hole a bit squarer, a bit larger, because if it's square, the roots can get to the corners and find their way out.
That makes sense.
What do you know about them regarding the bees and pollination?
The bee flies in and then takes the pollen and rubs it around its back and stuff. Then the bee goes and then but it falls off its body, so that it pollinates flowers in lots of different locations. That's very clever.
Think about this, right? Back when the time of the dinosaurs, there were no bees. There's only conifers, trees without flowers. Isn't that mind-blowing? We've also got apple variety, Hidden Rose, with a delightful pink flesh. So why do you think trees are good?
I think trees are good because they're just so calming, and if you just take your time to just look at them, then you can just see the beauty and all the life that's living in them. It's kind of like a big house for bugs and birds. It's beautiful. It absorbs all the carbon dioxide, and also it lets out really clean, fresh air. So if you're ever by a tree, you just have to smell all the lovely fresh air and give tree hugs. Tree hugs are awesome. Trees give the best hugs ever.
Brilliant. Now there is another ingredient to go on this. Now, do you know what this is?
It's fungi.
Yeah, it's just got to be in contact with the roots, and that way
What is that?
the fungi will
It's-
grow
it's a-
into
it's a
the
fungi.
roots and
Fungi.
connect with the other fungi in the field and the rest of the food.
So that way it gets its nutrients.
It is, yeah. It's sort of a really complex process, but the tree, in exchange for all the fungi bringing it food, nutrients, and water, gives sugar. So it's kind of a trade. Exactly. It's important to stake young trees while they establish. The wind in the whole country largely comes from the southwest, so you always put a stake on the southwest side of a tree,
Okay.
right? And that way, when you lash the tree to the stake to protect it from the wind, the tree falls away from the woodwork and doesn't rub against it and get damaged. The tree will flourish if you backfill with soil and firm it in.
I actually have to name it. I name everything. Ted? No, it's not Ted.
Aww.
Do you see Ted in this? I'm very disappointed in it. Adam. Yeah, we can name it Adam. Yeah. Yeah, Adam. We got an Adam. Yeah, Adam.
Adam's apple. Very
You didn't
good.
notice it.
Well, that's that. The tree's in. Done a good job on that. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Most vital of all, make sure your tree gets plenty of water in the first year while its roots establish. It's often said that when you plant a tree, you do it for your grandchildren. But today, well, I've learned the profound importance of getting young people involved. And I'll tell you what, with such inspirational and wonderful young people coming through, there's hope for this planet yet.